Now, after the case is complete, you have to consider doing your immunity tests or getting your vaccinations in order. I would prefer, like, okay, personally, I prefer doing the immunity tests. That is for rubella, measles, mumps, varicella, and hepatitis, to just check if I'm immune. Because if I'm immune, I will not have to take vaccinations. Some people prefer to take vaccinations, but each to their own. Some vaccinations like hepatitis have to be 1 month apart, then 6 months apart. So I didn't want to risk taking all that time, because I don't know when I'll be given my embassy date, and I don't know even after doing that vaccination if they'll still require my immunity records. So I prefer to do the immunity test. Then if there's any immunity that is not okay, I now do the vaccination. So my husband and I, we did the titers. They cost around 150 to 220 USD. You can get them done at Lancet, Aga Khan, Biomed. I think you figure it out. There's so many places you can get them done. So you have to do those 5 titers. That is the hepatitis, the varicella, the mumps, rubella, and measles. MMR, yeah. Then you have to be vaccinated for Tdap. It's called a Tdap vaccine, not a DTaP. Sometimes you tend to get them twisted. It's the Tdap vaccine, and that one has no immunity test. You just have to get that one jab. And sometimes agencies tell you, if you are coming when it's almost winter season, get a flu shot, but that one, don't get it yet until you get an IOM date. That's when you can get it. So after that, your case will be complete. I have just realized that I skipped about the visa screening process, and that entails where all your documents have to be screened by the CGFNS again, so that you can be given a visa screen certificate. That is a requirement at the embassy. So that is a high requirement, and that's where the English exam is needed. This process is usually done while your case is still processing, just before the embassy. Something else that happens right after your case is complete is that the agency tries to locate you with your preferred assigned state. My agency usually tells us to write 3 main states that we would like to work in, and if they get an opportunity in either of those 3 states, for sure they will grant you your heart desire. But if they don't, then they'll just find for you another state. So you'll get to interview with your facility. The agency will prepare you, and you'll get to interview with your facility. If you don't pass the interview, sometimes it's just not because you did not do it right. Sometimes it's because maybe they don't have a vacancy. They might cancel on you. Your agency will definitely look for you another state, and they also don't take you to states that, okay, they'll take you to the state that you prefer, but they have their own hospital affiliations in those states, not just any random hospital. They have to be maybe like partners with that hospital, and most of the time the towns that they take you are not the crazily expensive towns. They are the towns that they know you will manage when you get there, because you are on a contract and they assisted you in getting to the USA. So there's some money, there's some percentage that you should give back. But when they pay you the salary, they will have already taken their signed percentage, so that they can recover the expense that they used on you to get you to the US. The contract is usually 2 to 3 years, depending with each agency. And in Avant, you are given hours, and the more you work, the more the hours are deducted. If you work more hours, overtimes, all that counts into your contract, because it means a lesser contract. but then don't overwork yourself. Just take it a day at a time, because the first few months you cannot be able to take overtimes most of the time, because you're still new, you're still in orientation, and maybe after like 3 to 6 months, that when you can start taking overtimes, and that will mean lesser contract, because your hours will deduct in the contract. Other agencies, I think it's years, maybe 2 years or 2.5. I don't know if they do hours, but we'll find out more on that. So, and now you'll be given an embassy appointment. So the embassy will require you to go to the IOM. That means the International Organization for Migration, to get your medical examination done. So IOM is a bit expensive, and that's why we are required to at least do our titers and immunization before we go to IOM, so that it can be a bit cheaper, because IOM is a bit expensive. You have to pay $250 in the IOM just for the regular test. This one you have to pay. And the regular tests are a chest x-ray. They do a PDT to check if you're pregnant, if you're a woman, and they also check if you have any STIs. So for each person going to IOM, it's $250. And so if you have not done your titers and immunization elsewhere, you will add more. So you might end up using even like $800 for just one person. So just get your titers and Tdap immunization before you go to IOM. Then immediately before you go to IOM, get a flu vaccine. We never got a flu vaccine with my husband, and when we went to IOM, gosh, we had to pay $6,000, like $60 for the two of us to get that flu shot, which I believe is $15 for each person. So we paid double. So get it elsewhere, then go get your IOM done. Sometimes your chest x-ray, if you had a bad chest infection, might not be okay. Sometimes it might be okay. I had a very bad infection like 10 years ago, but it still reflected on my chest. So they had to do further investigations, and I had to go to IOM for 3 days every morning to take my sputum, and I had to pay more, an added cost of like 110 USD for them to get my investigations done. I also had to wait for more than 2 months for my results so that I can be cleared by IOM, because you cannot go to the embassy if you are not cleared by IOM. Because I remember my exit interview date, our exit interview date was on 23rd March, but now we had to wait for IOM to clear us, and after clearance you still have now to go and try to get another date from the embassy, which is very crazy, but it's okay. Nothing good comes easy. So after all that, and you're cleared by the IOM, now you can go for your embassy. Yeah. And sometimes between the case complete at the NVC and the embassy appointment, you have to have a current bulletin of your country. I remember my case complete was March 29th, 2020, but then our bulletin was retrogressed. There were no visas being issued, and so we could do nothing. We could go nowhere, and we had to pray and wait up to when we would be current. Current means that now your country is free to be given visas, and it happened in October, but then there was backlog and we had to wait to be scheduled up to 2021 March. So sometimes it's not necessarily that when you get the case complete you go right away. It depends with if your country is current or retrogressed. But I think the retrogression will not happen soon, because it really stayed last year. In Philippines, it stayed for very many years, and it was really crazy for them. But it's just praying. I believe miracles happen. Just pray for your case, pray for everything, pray for you to be current so that you can come here soon according to God's will. So that's it. And now we became current, went for embassy, and now at the embassy, you'll do your interview. Most of the time the dependent doesn't get to answer anything. It's just the principal applicant who is asked most of the questions. At the embassy, please leave your backpack in the car, or you pay someone there outside the gate several coins. So carry all your original documents, because you don't know what the embassy might ask for. But most of the time they ask for your maybe diploma or degree certificate, your nursing license in the US and in Kenya. After NCLEX, you will be given a nursing license of the board that you did with in the US. I had an Illinois nursing license, and it has to be active, but the agency will definitely guide you on it. So you have to be having two licenses, your US license and your Kenyan license, your passport, and all of your birth certificate, and all of this you should be having copies. But most agencies send you a packet. It's called a packet 3 document with the documents that the embassy will ask for. So carry those documents. Most of the question asked is where you have been working, where you'll be working in the US, how much will you be paid, have you or your spouse ever committed any crime if you have a spouse, have you ever been a veteran, what else? I think those are most of the questions that I was asked. Let me see. How many years have you worked where you are? Yeah, I think those were the questions that I was asked. And after that, you'll be told visa approved. That is amazing. That is what everyone's want to hear, because we don't want to go all that route and then you're told your visa is rejected. So after you're told that visa approved, you will now wait for like 1 to 2 weeks for your documents to be sent and your visa stamped on the passport. So you'll just leave your passport, your good conduct. I'm sorry, I forgot to say that you need to take your good conduct after your case is complete. Apply for your good conduct so it can be viable, but the agency guides you on that. So they'll be left with your good conduct, your birth certificate, and your passport. Then you'll give an address of where you have to collect them, a nearest DHL. So after 1 to 2 weeks, you'll be told that your visas are due for collection. You can go and take them. And then that was the happiest day ever. I went and collected my visa. I couldn't collect my husband's visa. They told me he had to go and get it himself. And so he had to go and get it himself. And the visa was printed on the passport, which is given the expiry. My expiry was, I just had several days in Kenya, so I had to rush here, but my husband had 2 months. But I was told it's because I had a problem with my medical examination results, so my visa would expire sooner than my husband. The visa days are counted from the day that your medicals are done. So we did our medicals in February, so that they would expire in August, and so our visa would have expired in August, but mine was expiring in July because my case was a bit complicated, and so I had to be here. So after that, after you're given your visa, you'll be given a packet, a very big packet for you, and your dependent will be given a small one. Mine was about 8 kgs. It was really heavy, and I think it has all the paperwork that there is about you in this world. And you don't open that packet at all. Don't open it. put it in your carry-on bag so that on the day of travel, you will have it with you everywhere you go. That packet, the moment you enter US, the first port of entry in the US, you have to give that document to the immigration officer so that they can stamp for you a permanent residence visa. So I came through New York, and the moment I entered New York at the airport, I gave the immigration officer that packet, and my visa was stamped IFF, something like, I will put a picture there, and it was written that it will expire next year. Green card comes, at least you can, if you are required to show someone that you are a permanent resident, you can just show them your visa stamp that was stamped. Also, my husband, the same, he has to give out his packet so that he can be given that visa for 1 year expiry. So that's basically it, and I'll be sharing about now life in the US, the documents that now you are required to have in the US, because after some time now the green card comes and now you are a permanent resident for 10 years, but I believe after several years you are able to apply for citizenship if your records are right. But then that I will share later on. And if you are considering being an international nurse, that's amazing, and it's really worth it. It's really, really worth it to come and experience the differences between our home country and the healthcare system back in the healthcare system here in the US. It's different, and it's adventurous, and it's good, and it's really worth it. So if you are considering that, go for it. Find the right agency that you connect with. Take it a day at a time. Give it your all. Work hard. Believe in God. And things that are beyond your control, just leave them to God, because sometimes you will face things that are beyond your control. I used to tell myself the only thing that is beyond my control was anklets. And so I had to work hard like crazy. And work hard, leave it to God. He will give you that pass. And the other things that were beyond me, like applying for the 140, waiting for retrogression to end, though there's a point I really got so frustrated during that retrogression when things were not moving, I learned to leave everything to God. It's beyond me. It's beyond my agency at times. They have done their part. They have applied everything, but then there's a retrogression. What can they do? Nothing. They can't go and start working in the embassies. So we just have to be positive and to really let them be and let God take control and enjoy the process, because it's not very, very easy, but nothing good comes from an easy point. So all the best in this international journey of becoming a new SRN, wherever you may be. And I wish you God's blessings and favor in all you do. Bye-bye.